When I showed her parents the hotel reservation with both their names on it, her mother's hands started shaking so badly she had to put down her wine glass. Welcome to Cheating Story Exposed. Real stories, real justice, no sugarcoating. You know what? I notice many of you watching haven't hit that subscribe button yet. Here's the thing, we drop stories like this every single day. Stories about people who got played, got smart, and got even. If you want to see how these situations really end, subscribe now and turn on notifications. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. My name is Cameron Mitchell. I'm 34 years old, and I work as a cybersecurity analyst for a financial firm in Atlanta. The work pays well, keeps me sharp, and taught me one crucial skill that ended up saving my life: how to track digital footprints that people think they've erased. I met Lauren Westbrook 3 years ago at a mutual friend's wedding. She was a bridesmaid, I was a groomsman, and we spent the entire reception talking about everything from true crime podcasts to our shared obsession with hiking. She worked in pharmaceutical sales, traveled frequently for work, and had this infectious energy that made every room brighter. Within 6 months, we'd moved in together. Within 18 months, I'd bought the ring. The proposal happened last October at Amicalola Falls, the same spot where we'd had our first official date. She cried, I nearly dropped the ring into the waterfall, and for about 4 months after that, life felt absolutely perfect. We set the wedding date for September, started looking at houses in the suburbs, talked about starting a family within a couple years. I should have known something was wrong when she started getting defensive about her phone. It started small. She'd flip her phone face down when I walked into the room. She'd take calls in the bathroom or step outside to respond to texts. When I asked about it casually one night in March, she laughed it off and said her work was dealing with a sensitive product launch and they'd been warned about information security. Given my line of work, that explanation made sense. I let it go. Then came the girls' trip. Lauren had a core group of friends from college, Michaela, Jordan, and Rebecca. They tried to meet up quarterly, usually for a weekend somewhere fun. In the past, these trips had been to Nashville, Charleston, Savannah, normal cities within driving distance. They'd post pictures the whole time, tag each other constantly, and Lauren would come home exhausted but happy. In early April, Lauren came home from work buzzing with excitement about a trip to Miami. According to her, Michaela had found an incredible deal on a beachfront Airbnb, and they'd booked it for the last weekend of the month. 4 days, 3 nights, spa appointments, club reservations, the whole thing. She showed me photos of the place. A gorgeous modern condo right on South Beach with floor-to-ceiling windows and a balcony overlooking the ocean. I told her to have an amazing time, transferred $500 to her account for spending money, and didn't think twice about it. The warning signs started 3 days before she was supposed to leave. I'd gotten home from work early on a Tuesday and found Lauren on the couch, staring at her phone with this strange expression, half anxious, half excited. When I asked what she was looking at, she jumped like I'd caught her doing something wrong, locked her phone, and said she was just coordinating final details with the girls. But the look on her face didn't match someone planning spa days with friends. That night after she fell asleep, I did something I'm not proud of but don't regret. I picked up her phone from the nightstand, used her thumbprint to unlock it while she was sleeping, and went straight to her messages. The first thing I noticed was a contact labeled M. Work. I'd never heard her mention anyone with that initial. From her pharmaceutical company. I opened the thread and immediately felt my stomach drop. The messages went back 3 months. The early ones were casual. Good seeing you at the conference. We should grab coffee sometime. But they escalated quickly. By February, they were texting daily, inside jokes, late-night conversations, and then in March, the messages turned into something else entirely. I haven't stopped thinking about that night. We need to be more careful. This is getting risky. I know it's complicated, but I don't regret anything. I scrolled back further, hands shaking, until I found a message from mid-February that made everything horrifyingly clear. I can't believe we're really doing this. 5 years later, and it's like no time passed at all. 5 years ago, Lauren had been dating someone seriously before we met. She'd mentioned him exactly once early in our relationship, saying they'd broken up because he'd moved to Denver for work and neither of them wanted long distance. His name was Matthew. M. Work was Matthew. I kept scrolling, bile rising in my throat until I found the message I was looking for. It was from 10 days ago. Miami is perfect. Booked the room at the Fontainebleau under both our names. Can't wait to have 4 days with just you. This is going to be incredible. Her response, I told Cameron it's a girls' trip. He didn't ask any questions. We're actually doing this. His reply, does he know about us, about what we were? Her response, he knows I dated someone before him, that's it. He has no idea you're back in Atlanta or that we've been seeing each other. He trusts me completely. I put the phone back exactly where I'd found it, went to the guest bathroom, and threw up. When I could breathe again, I sat on the bathroom floor and forced myself to think logically. I could confront her immediately, but she'd just deny everything or gaslight me about invading her privacy. I could wait until she left and change the locks, but that felt too passive. I needed something more. I needed evidence that couldn't be denied. I needed to catch them in the act. I spent the next 2 days acting completely normal while planning my next move. I kissed her goodbye when she left for work. I asked about her Miami packing list. I helped her print her boarding pass, and the entire time I was building my case. Step 1 was accessing her email. She used the same password for everything, her childhood dog's name plus her birth year. Amateur hour for someone dating a cybersecurity analyst. I logged into her personal Gmail from my work laptop using a VPN and searched for anything related to Miami. I found the hotel reservation immediately. The Fontainebleau Miami Beach, Executive Ocean View Suite, check-in Thursday, April 27th, check-out Monday, May 1st. Confirmation number, room number, both names on the reservation, Lauren Westbrook and Matthew Chen. I took screenshots of everything. Next, I checked her connected Google account for location sharing. She had it turned on for her friends, probably for safety during their actual girls' trips. I added myself to her trusted contacts using a fake email account I set up, betting she wouldn't notice one more name in a list of a dozen. Now I could track her phone in real time. Then I did something that would either prove I was paranoid or confirm my worst nightmare. I called Michaela. Michaela and I had always gotten along well. She was a straight-shooter, no-nonsense marketing executive who'd been in Lauren's life since freshman year of college. If anyone would know the truth about this trip, it would be her. I kept my voice casual, mentioned I wanted to send Lauren some flowers to the Airbnb as a surprise, asked if Michaela had the address handy. There was a long pause on the other end of the line. Then Michaela said something that made my blood run cold. Cameron, what are you talking about? We don't have a trip planned. Until July. We're going to Costa Rica for Rebecca's birthday. I thanked her, made up some excuse about getting my dates confused, and ended the call. There was no girls' trip. There had never been a girls' trip. It was just Lauren and Matthew playing house in Miami for 4 days while I sat at home like an idiot. I had 72 hours to decide what to do. Thursday morning arrived. Lauren was packed and giddy, checking her phone every few minutes, talking too fast about how excited she was to see the girls. I drove her to the airport, kissed her goodbye at departures, and told her to have an amazing time. Then I went home, called out sick from work for Friday, and booked myself a flight to Miami leaving that afternoon. The flight from Atlanta to Miami is 2 hours. I spent the entire time staring at the tracking app on my phone, watching Lauren's location ping from Hartsfield-Jackson to Miami International. She landed 20 minutes before I did. By the time I collected my carry-on and got through the airport, the tracker showed her at the Fontainebleau. I'd booked myself a room at a Marriott 2 blocks away. Nothing fancy, just a base of operations. I checked in, changed into casual clothes, and opened the tracking app again. She was still at the hotel. I pulled up the reservation confirmation I'd screenshotted. Executive Ocean View Suite, room 1847. I took an Uber to the Fontainebleau and walked into the lobby like I belonged there. The place was massive, all Art Deco elegance and marble floors and tourists in expensive resort wear. I found a seat in the lobby bar with a clear view of the elevators and ordered a whiskey I didn't touch. My phone was in my hand, tracking app open, watching that little blue dot that represented my fiancée's phone staying stationary on the 18th floor. I sat there for 3 hours. At 7:30 p.m., the blue dot started moving. I watched it descend from the 18th floor to the lobby level. My heart was hammering so hard I thought the bartender could probably hear it. The elevator doors opened. Lauren stepped out first, wearing a sundress I'd never seen before, her hair down and wavy from the ocean humidity. She was laughing at something, her whole face bright with happiness. Then Matthew stepped out behind her. He was exactly what I'd expected from the one photo I'd found on Lauren's old Facebook, tall, athletic build, conventionally handsome in that generic way. He had his hand on the small of her back. She leaned into him like it was the most natural thing in the world. They walked right past the lobby bar, maybe 15 feet from where I was sitting. Lauren never looked in my direction. She was too busy gazing up at Matthew like he'd hung the moon. I watched them exit through the beach access doors, disappearing into the Miami twilight. I sat there for another 10 minutes, finishing that whiskey and ordering another. My hands were steady now. The initial shock had burned off, replaced by something colder and more focused. I paid my tab, walked to the front desk, and smiled at the young woman working the counter. I told her I was supposed to be staying in room 1847, but I'd lost my key cards during a beach walk. I gave her Matthew's name, showed her my ID with my real name, and explained that the room was under my buddy's name, but we were sharing it for a bachelor party weekend. She looked uncertain, started to say something about security policies, and then I added that I could call Matthew, but he and his girlfriend had just headed down to the beach, and I really didn't want to interrupt their romantic evening. The word girlfriend did it. She smiled sympathetically, made me verify the dates of the reservation, and printed me 2 new key cards. I thanked her, took the elevator to the 18th floor, and let myself into room 1847. The suite was exactly as advertised. Stunning ocean view. King bed with the covers already rumpled from afternoon. Activities I didn't want to think about, Lauren's suitcase open on the luggage rack. Her toiletries were spread across the bathroom counter next to a men's shaving kit. There were 2 champagne flutes on the balcony table, still half full. I stood in the middle of that hotel room and felt the rage crystallize into something sharp and purposeful. I pulled out my phone and started taking pictures. Everything, the shared suitcases, the champagne. The booking confirmation printout sitting on the desk with both their names, the view from the balcony. I even took a photo of the inside of the hotel door, showing the room number clearly. Then I sat down in the desk chair and waited. They came back at 10:15 p.m. I heard their voices in the hallway first, Lauren giggling, Matthew saying something about ordering room service. The lock clicked. The door opened. Lauren walked in first, still laughing, starting to say something about being too full from dinner. Then she saw me sitting there, and the words died in her throat. Her face went through about 6 different emotions in 3 seconds. Confusion, recognition, shock, terror, and finally something that looked like a trapped animal realizing there's no way out. Matthew walked in behind her, saying something about finding the dessert menu, and nearly ran into her frozen back. He looked at me, looked at Lauren, and I watched his brain try to compute what was happening. I stood up slowly, pulled one of the hotel key cards from my pocket, and set it on the desk with a sharp click. Then I spoke for the first time, keeping my voice perfectly calm. "So, how was the beach?" Lauren's mouth opened and closed. No sound came out. Matthew, to his credit or maybe his stupidity, tried to play it off. "Who the hell are you? This is our room. You need to leave before I call security." I looked at him for a long moment, then pulled up a photo on my phone. The screenshot of their text messages where Lauren told him I had no idea. About them, I turned the phone around so they could both see it. "My name is Cameron Mitchell," I said quietly. "I'm Lauren's fiancée. And before you call security, Matthew, you should know that I have screenshots of 3 months of your text messages, copies of this hotel reservation showing both your names, photos of every inch of this room, and about a dozen other pieces of evidence that prove my fiancé has been lying to me about a girl's trip that never existed." Lauren made a sound like a wounded animal. She reached for my arm. "Cameron, please, I can explain." I stepped back, avoiding her touch like it was poison. I don't want to hear it. I don't want excuses. I don't want justifications. I don't want you to tell me it meant nothing or it was a mistake. I know exactly what this is." Matthew had gone very pale. He wasn't trying to play the aggressive card anymore. He just stood there looking between Lauren and me like he was watching a car crash in slow motion. I turned to Lauren, and I let every ounce of disappointment and disgust show on my face. "I gave you everything. My trust, my time, my future. I was planning our wedding. I was looking at houses for us. I was ready to build an entire life with you, and you threw it away for a weekend with your ex-boyfriend." She was crying now, mascara running down her face, hands shaking. "It wasn't like that, Cameron, please. We can fix this." "Fix what?" I cut her off. "The 3 months of lying, the fake girl's trip, the fact that you told him I trusted you completely while you were planning this behind my back. Which part of that are we fixing, Lauren?" I walked to the door, then turned back one more time. "You have until Sunday to get your things out of my apartment. Anything you leave behind goes to Goodwill. The ring is going back to the jeweler tomorrow." And just so you know, I called Michaela before you even left Atlanta. She confirmed there was no girls' trip, so when you get home and try to do damage control with your friends, remember that they already know you're a liar. I left the room and let the door close behind me with a soft click. I could hear Lauren crying through the door, calling my name. I kept walking. The elevator ride down felt like descending from some alternate reality back into the real world. By the time I reached the lobby, my phone was already buzzing. Text after text from Lauren, each one more desperate than the last. Please come back. We need to talk. I'm so sorry. It was a mistake. I love you. Please don't do this. I blocked her number and requested an Uber back to my hotel. That night, I slept better than I had in weeks. Friday morning, I flew back to Atlanta, went straight to the jeweler, and returned the engagement ring. The owner, a kind, older man who'd helped me pick it out, took one look at my face and didn't ask questions. He processed the return and handed me a check for the full amount, $8,400. I deposited the check, went home, and started the systematic process of removing Lauren Westbrook from my life. I changed the locks first. Then I packed every single item that belonged to her into boxes: clothes, toiletries, books, that ugly decorative pillow she loved. I even packed up the photos of us from the walls. By Saturday afternoon, her entire existence in my apartment was condensed into 8 cardboard boxes stacked in the living room. I texted her from a new number. Your things are packed. You have until 6 p.m. Sunday to pick them up. After that, they go to donation. She responded immediately. Can we please talk when I get back, please? I didn't reply. Sunday morning, I got a call from an unknown number. I debated not answering, but curiosity won out. It was Lauren's mother, Patricia. Patricia and I had always gotten along well. She was a retired teacher, kind and thoughtful, and she'd told me more than once that I was the best thing that ever happened to her. Daughter, hearing her voice made this whole thing feel more real and more painful. Cameron, she said, and her voice was tight with emotion. Lauren called me. She told me what happened. Is it true? I could have lied. I could have softened it. Instead, I told her the truth. I told her about finding the messages, about the fake girls' trip, about following Lauren to Miami and catching her in a hotel room with Matthew. I told her everything, calmly and without embellishment. When I finished, there was a long silence on the other end of the line. Then Patricia said something I'll never forget. Cameron, I am so deeply sorry. You deserved better than this. My daughter made a choice that I cannot defend or excuse, and I want you to know that her father and I are absolutely heartbroken, not just for you, but because we raised her to be better than this. I felt my throat tight. Thank you for saying that. I know this doesn't fix anything, Patricia continued. But I want you to know that you will always be welcome in our home. What Lauren did doesn't change how much we care about you. After I hung up, I sat on the couch and let myself cry for the first time since this whole nightmare started. Not because I wanted Lauren back, not because I regretted leaving, but because I was grieving the future I'd planned, the life I'd imagined, the person I thought I knew. Lauren showed up at 6 p.m. exactly, accompanied by Michaela. Smart move. Bringing a witness meant I couldn't make a scene or change my mind. I answered the door, gestured to the boxes, and said nothing. Lauren looked like she hadn't slept since Miami. Her eyes were swollen, her hair was unwashed, and she'd clearly been crying for days. She looked at me with this desperate, pleading expression. Cameron, please, can we just talk for 5 minutes, please? I shook my head. There's nothing to talk about. Everything you could possibly say is either a lie or an excuse. I'm not interested in either. I love you, she said, her voice breaking. I made a terrible mistake, but I love you. We can go to counseling. We can work through this. You didn't make a mistake, Lauren. You made a series of calculated choices over 3 months. You chose to reconnect with Matthew. You chose to lie to me. You chose to fake an entire trip with your friends. You chose to book a hotel room with him. Those aren't mistakes. Those are decisions. Michaela was loading boxes onto a dolly, staying carefully neutral. Smart woman. Lauren tried one more time. What about everything we built together? 3 years, Cameron. You're just throwing it all away. I looked at her, really looked at her, and felt absolutely nothing. No, Lauren, you threw it away the moment you texted Matthew back. You threw it away when you lied about Miami. You threw it away when you told him I trusted you completely. I'm just accepting that it's already gone. She started to say something else, but I'd already closed the door. I watched through the peephole as she stood there for a long moment, crying silently, before Michaela gently guided her back to the elevator. When they were gone, I poured myself a bourbon and sat on my balcony, looking out at the Atlanta skyline. The next few weeks were strange. I threw myself into work, picked up extra projects, started going to the gym at 5 a.m. before the office. Friends reached out, mutual friends who'd heard various versions of the story. Most of them were supportive. A few tried to play devil's advocate, suggesting maybe I'd overreacted by following her to Miami. I cut those people off immediately. Anyone who thought catching my fiancée in a hotel room with her ex was an overreaction didn't understand loyalty or respect. About a month after Miami, I got a message request on LinkedIn from someone named Daniel Ramirez. The message was brief. "Hey man, I heard what happened with Lauren through mutual friends. I dated her for about 6 months, 2 years before. Similar thing happened to me. She reconnected with Matthew while we were together. Just wanted you to know you dodged a bullet. She's got a pattern. Take care of yourself." I stared at that message for a long time. The validation felt both satisfying and deeply sad. This wasn't even the first time she'd done this. Matthew wasn't some grand love she couldn't resist. He was just a pattern she kept returning to. I never responded to Daniel, but I appreciated the message more than he probably knew. Summer came. I took the money I'd been saving for the wedding and used it to book a trip to Iceland with my brother. 2 weeks of hiking, hot springs, and northern lights. No cell service, no drama, just cold air and clear skies. When I got back, I felt lighter somehow. Not healed exactly, but lighter. I ran into Jordan, one of Lauren's friends from the fake girls trip group, at a coffee shop in August. She looked uncomfortable when she saw me, started to turn away, but I called her name. We ended up talking for almost an hour. She told me that Lauren and Matthew had tried to make it work after Miami, but it had fallen apart within weeks. Apparently, Matthew had a girlfriend in Denver he'd conveniently forgotten to mention. Lauren had ended up betrayed by the same person she'd betrayed me with. Jordan said it with a certain amount of satisfaction. I didn't take any joy in it. Karma is real, but it doesn't make the original wound hurt any less. Jordan also told me that their friend group had essentially dissolved over this. Michaela and Rebecca had sided with me, telling Lauren they couldn't be friends with someone capable of that level of deception. Jordan had tried to stay neutral, but admitted it was impossible. The group text was dead. The Costa Rica trip never happened. She destroyed a lot more than just your relationship, Jordan said quietly. She destroyed friendships that went back more than a decade. And for what? A guy who was using her the same way. She used you? I didn't have an answer for that. It's been 7 months now since Miami. 7 months since I sat in that hotel room and waited for my fiancé to walk in with another man. 7 months since I walked away from the life I thought I was building. I'm doing okay. Better than okay, actually. I got a promotion at work in September. I'm training for a half marathon. I've been on a few dates, nothing serious yet, but it's nice to remember what it feels like to meet someone new without the weight of betrayal hanging over everything. My apartment is completely mine now. New furniture, new artwork, no traces of Lauren anywhere. I threw out the decorative pillow. Sometimes people ask me if I regret how I handled it. If I wish I'd confronted her before she left for Miami, or if I should have tried to work things out. The answer is always the same: absolutely not. Following her to Miami and catching her in the act gave me something that a phone confrontation never would have: absolute, undeniable proof. She couldn't gaslight me. She couldn't manipulate the narrative. She couldn't claim the messages were taken out of context, or that I was being paranoid or jealous. She couldn't lie her way out of standing in that hotel room with Matthew while I held up the evidence of their 3-month affair. I gave myself the gift of certainty. And certainty, I've learned, is what allows you to move forward without constantly looking back. Lauren tried to reach out twice more. Once through a long email in June explaining how therapy had helped her understand her self-sabotaging patterns, and once through a mutual acquaintance in October asking if I'd be willing to meet for coffee to get closure. I deleted the email without finishing it. I told the mutual acquaintance that I'd gotten all the closure I needed in Miami. Because here's what I've learned from all of this. Closure isn't something someone else can give you. It's something you give yourself when you decide that the truth is enough, that you deserve better, and that walking away is its own form of strength. I don't hate Lauren. I don't wish bad things for her. I just don't think about her anymore. My name is Cameron Mitchell. I'm 34 years old. I work in cybersecurity. I run 4 times a week, and I'm building a life that belongs entirely to me. No lies, no deception, no fake trips with people who don't respect me. And you know what? That life is pretty damn good. If you got this far, thank you for listening to my story. If you're going through something similar, if you're staring at your phone wondering whether to check their messages, wondering if you're being paranoid, wondering if you should just trust your gut, do it. Check. Follow that instinct. You deserve to know the truth even when the truth is ugly. And when you do find out, when you have that moment of horrible clarity, don't let anyone tell you that you overreacted. Don't let anyone tell you that love means accepting betrayal. Don't let anyone tell you that walking away makes you cold or unforgiving. Walking away makes you strong. Walking away makes you someone who knows their worth. Walking away makes you free. The ring went back to the jeweler. The apartment is all mine. The future is unwritten. And I've never felt more ready to see what comes next. Hit that subscribe button if this story resonated with you, and drop a comment if you've ever had to make the choice between fighting for someone who didn't fight for you or walking away with your dignity intact. I read every single comment, and your stories matter just as much as mine. Until next time, stay strong, know your worth, and never settle for less than you deserve.